Dicks. I'm sorry, you've just joined us right in the middle of a fallout. Fergus sticking his big Irish nose in where it wasn't required. Welcome to the Guns and Yellow Ribbons preview podcast. I can tell it's going to be one of them nights. I'm not happy with him already. Tonight, we're going to talk about this weekend's games, obviously starting with tonight's game and then finishing with the mighty Arsenal against Crystal Palace on Sunday. David is our special guest. Come along for the chat. Fergus is also here, as you will already know. We're going to also have a little look back at a wonderful win to keep our unbeaten record in Europe going. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. This is your Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Enjoy the show.
Now, Trevor, we know none of that would have happened if you had taken yourself off mute beforehand. And then I would have been saying, you're on mute, mate.
Fergus, remember your place tonight, please. Remember your place. Now then, here we go. Yeah, everybody. Fergus knows very well that there's a delay when you press go live on this. It's 3 or 4 seconds, that's all. And he decided to start giving it Billy Big Balls in that 3 or 4 seconds.
You were on mute.
It came into the show. And
you were on mute.
We've had a terrible bad start to the evening. David, welcome, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Really Good. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you with us, mate. Fergus, are you staying?
Yeah, might as well.
Oh, God help us then. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. It's been a busy day. I've got the football on the screen behind us, so hopefully we'll get finished in the hour and we can actually watch the game. So, yeah.
Well, that depends on how much you waffle on, doesn't it? If we get finished within an hour or not. Listen, right, just before we go into the first game, Leeds v West Ham, right, we'll just have a 2-minute look back at the two games that Arsenal played this week, right? Firstly, away at Fulham. I personally thought it was a really hard-fought, good win against a team that didn't want to play football. And I was very happy that we found a way to score a goal and win the game. David, what did you think, mate?
Yep, spot on. Completely agree with you. Sometimes those particular games that we go into, you've just got to find ways to score, right? And we did that. It doesn't matter how you score, job done.
Brilliant. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Ferg, you were at the game. You'd had a few on the boat down the river. So can you remember much about it, mate?
What, the Fulham game?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember it well. We did have a few on the boat. The boat was brilliant. It's the first time I'm nearly 40 years in London. And David, when you're not go on mute when you're not talking because you get a bit of feedback. Sorry, mate. It was first time in nearly 40 years that I've been in London. I've been on a Thames cruise, which was great. It was really good atmosphere and everything else. And the game was hard fought. I thought, Fulham did try, but they didn't really hassle us very much. We got the goal. We done the job. Job done. 3 points back up the Thames.
They didn't really threaten us in any way, shape, or form, did they? And a lot of people were moaning about it, said we should be playing better, etc. But you can only beat what's out there in the manner that they allow you to beat them, and we did that perfectly. Moving on, right? Tuesday night, we're unbeaten in the Champions League. Won our first 2 games, and this was our biggest challenge so far. I thought, Atletico Madrid at home. Got a very wise manager who's been at the club for many, many, many years. They don't lose many games easily. First half, I was a bit worried. It was reminding me of the last time we played Atletico in the semi-final of the Europa League. I don't know when it was, 18, 19, when we absolutely bossed the first half, didn't score, couldn't get ourselves ahead and ended up drawing the game. But my worries were wasted, weren't they, Ferg? That second half, Ferg, 10 out of 10?
Yeah, 11 out of 10, mate. Honestly, I before the game, Andrew had said to me that he thought it was going to be 4 or 5, and I thought you've been ridiculous. I had said to you, I think before the game, the first goal was key. Whoever got the first goal would command the game. And I was worried that maybe Simeone's team would get the first goal and then lock up shop. We got that first goal. And once we got the first, I knew we'd get a second. But my God, I never, ever imagined we'd get 4. And 4 in 14 minutes, 2 from set plays, 2 from open plays. Gyökeres's reaction especially after the second one, when he looked like a lot more relieved and comfortable, was brilliant. And it was just a great feel, absolutely great feel.
I don't know if we're allowed to say set plays on here because Arnie Slot's getting fed up with it all.
And long balls. And
we play them in 4 months' time. And I think Arnie Slot's requesting that we name our team now so he can prepare for the game properly. What a load of rubbish. David, what do you think of that performance on Tuesday, mate? Are you buzzing like us too?
I just can't describe like the moment I'm just feeling at present. It's hard to explain. We're just kind of going through the motions at the moment, and everyone's excited. And I can see why. I never would have thought that we would turn them 4-0, turn them over 4-0. Never once would have thought that. Watching the first half, I'm thinking to myself, come half time, don't know the way this is going. I mean, they probably came out pretty bright in the second half for 2 minutes. I think there was a moment, 10 minutes in the game, where into the second half where Alvarez hit the bar, and looking from our end of the spectrum in the North Bank, gents, you think that's going in the top bins, right? But we found the way, right? And that's what good teams do. A little bit like Fulham game we just spoke about a minute ago. And what does it happen? Peace. There we go. And we go on to the next one.
Yeah.
Some great football. Really impressed with the result. Midweek. Same again.
Brilliant.
Even though I think Sunday's actually going to be a bit more of a difficult game.
Yeah, I think it will. I think it will be.
Yeah, I think it will be as well.
What do you reckon on this point here by Dan in the chat? He said he's worried about breaking down the deadlock and having to use set pieces all the time. But I think football has changed. A lot of the pundits are talking about football has changed because all teams are now using more corners, long throws, longer balls, kicking to the corner. It's not ticky-tacky, is it?
Ferg, it's sports journalist, sports news rubbish. Because Arsenal have been scoring from a few set pieces, suddenly it's unfashionable and it's new. It's not new. Teams have always scored from set pieces. We just happen to be very good at it at the moment. So it's something for them to get their teeth into. Totally ignoring it. Totally having nothing to do with it. No, I gave myself a good smack in the face this weekend because I actually...
How can I do that?
I actually responded. You couldn't reach past your belly. I actually responded to a post from TalkSport this weekend and I was ashamed of myself, and it won't happen again. Dan, I see what your point you're making, mate, with that comment, but I don't think it matters how you Ferg, I told you last week, right? You use that once and you laugh. You use it a second time and you grin. After about the 57,000th time, the only person that laughs is you, Ferg. So I'd rather be like that anyway than have to sit right back from my desk because I can't get near it. So, anyway. Where was I? I was talking seriously then, and Fergus, you've
talking about Dan's comment that he just made. But I think it is a question for you then, Trev, if you don't mind. Can we go through the whole season just scoring set pieces? I mean, at the moment, it's wonderful, and I get Dan's point. We've got to be able to start breaking down teams from open play a lot more. Yeah,
it would be good, but I'm not worried about it because we break teams down from set pieces superbly, So, and as Arnie says there, other teams have the same amount of set pieces. Open play goals, as we saw on Tuesday night with the Lewis Skelly run and the Martinelli finish. Oh my God, And if we score them every week, I'm happy. I'm really happy. But if we score from a set piece every week, I'm just as happy. I can't differentiate, Dave. I'm just happy with however we score a goal. And we score goals by doing what we're good at, And that's how it is. Look, right, it's we've been going now for nearly 10 minutes, so we better get into this weekend's fixtures, boys. Tonight's game, Leeds v West Ham, 8 o'clock kickoff, right? West Ham away at Leeds. I can't make a case for West Ham getting anything out of this game after their recent performances. We'll go to Ferg first, David, because he likes West Ham, so he likes to talk about them first.
You know what? I think two teams that are struggling at the bottom end of the table, which we know West Ham being, I think they're 19th, and Leeds are about 5 or 6 points ahead of them. Leeds will be keen to get 3 points at home against West Ham, just a bit of distance from themselves. They've been a newly promoted side. They're probably one of the, at the start of the season, definitely one of the favourites to go back down again. I think as the season is progressing and seeing the way the Wolves and West Ham and others are struggling, I think they must be feeling a little bit more comfortable. And if they can get 3 points in this sort of the battle of the bottom league, it would be huge for them. West Ham, a new manager. We saw with Forest getting a win with their new manager in Europe. It could give them a little bit of a bounce, but I can't see it, if I'm honest. Some people have put like boring 0-0. I think there'll be goals. That atmosphere on a Friday night at Ellen Road would be immense. And I've gone Leeds 2, West Ham 1.
Yeah, right. I've actually gone Leeds 2, West Ham 0. So I'm on the same wavelength as you, Ferg. Do you see it any differently, Dave?
Echo Fergus's comments. I've actually gone 2-0 Leeds, and I understand what Fergus is saying, but I think the difference is when you've actually watched Leeds this season and at home, they create a lot of chances. I mean, unfortunately, they've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front, which doesn't really kind of help them. However, West Ham are just so poor. Such a poor side. I can't see them getting anything. I can't see them scoring. I see a comfortable win for Leeds.
Is it? Do you know what, right? I watched their game the other night and it looked to me like the players, and they've got the new manager still on the touchline, right? Or the newish manager. They've got the newish manager, and they don't look like they're playing, the West Ham players. They don't look like they can be bothered, Ferg.
No, I was speaking to some of my mates in the local. They came along and said, no, we're doomed. They already have accepted the fact that they probably are going to go down. They said exactly what you said there. The team don't look like they want to play for anybody. They just are not interested. They're confused about some of the team.
I just don't think they've got any quality, really. When you look across it, you've got Bowen and Paqueta, and that's about it. The rest of the team itself isn't that great.
No, I know the keeper's okay, but yeah, they're poor. I watched them against us, and from because I watch most of the games because I do have a little bit of a soft spot for them, and I thought they were really poor at set pieces. And then when they defended against us, I still thought, I said it to a friend of mine today, that they're absolutely woeful, but they were better defending at set pieces. But I watched them against Brentford, and Brentford, if they could score, could have been 10-0 up by halftime. It was absolutely atrocious, and their heads went down.
Wasn't it a pour off? Wasn't it a pour off? Unbelievable. Listen, just before we move on, boys, Ronnie.
Sorry,
Ronnie. I've just put a quote. Let me just put this one up from Ronnie. Ferg. Ronnie, thanks for watching, mate. Appreciate. By the way, Ronnie, I love some of that memorabilia you're sticking on social media this week, mate. Some old stuff. People, if you want to see some top old Arsenal memorabilia, follow Ronnie Lamb on X. He's putting some wonderful stuff up. Made me smile today, Ronnie. Thank you. But if your picture's freezing, mate, it might help. We're running all right from our end. We're all running all right. So it might help if you drop off and refresh and come back on again, mate. That might help, Ronnie. Yeah. Ferg, what was you going to say, mate? Sorry.
I just said, again, it's one of Ronnie's comments. It said they were dire at West Ham, and they were lucky that was only 2-0, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I have to agree. So, boys, the next one, right? Chelsea at home, 2, Sunderland. Both coming off of wins. Chelsea beat Forest last week. Sunderland beat Leeds. Chelsea at home. It's been showing a bit of form. I'll stick my 10th penny in here. I think Chelsea are going to win this comfortably against Sunderland. I think Chelsea are going to win 3-0. They seem to be playing all right. They're surprising me that they're playing all right without Palmer because I thought he made them tick. But as I say, I'm going for Chelsea. Dave, what do you think, mate?
Yep, similar scoreline to you. I've gone 3-1. I think Sunderland will score a goal just because I don't think Chelsea are, again, defensively that great. Now, bear in mind, Sunderland, they've not conceded many goals this season either, have they? They've been pretty decent at the back at the moment. But I just think Chelsea will have too much for them. I just think the moment will be too much for Sunderland when they play these bigger sides. So, yeah, I think Chelsea will quite comfortably win this one 3-1.
Yeah, I see that. Ferg, do you agree with us too?
I don't, and I don't quite agree with Danny either on X. I think Chelsea had a good result in Europe on Wednesday night. Sunderland have had the whole week off. Sunderland have spent really well in this window. They've surprised many people. They're 7th in the league with 14 points. They're actually only 5 points behind the leaders. Who are the leaders in the table? The Arsenal. So they're only 5 points behind us. They are scoring goals. They've won 4 games. They've drawn 2 and lost 2. They're doing all right. I'm going with similar lines as Dan has gone. I've gone for a shock result, yes, but I'm going 2-2.
That'll do. We'll take that all day long. Take that all day long. Right, now listen to the next one, right? Newcastle v Fulham. Newcastle are coming off a loss v Brighton. Fulham are coming off a loss v the mighty Arsenal. Newcastle were at home. But do you know what? I don't think Newcastle were as good as they might think they are themselves. I think they're quite average. They've got a couple of bully boy midfielders, and I don't see a lot else there. I think Fulham might get something out of this game, David.
I actually disagree. Funny enough, I actually feel a little bit different. I do think Newcastle are a good side. And I think when we talk about bully boy midfielders, we know who we're talking about, right? We're talking about Bruno and we're talking about Joe Linton.
Yeah.
Now, Bruno might be the way that he is, but he's a sensational football player, right? And I do think they have some quality players. And we know what it's like. We go up there plenty of times where we go to St. James's Park and the atmosphere can be absolutely incredible. They go a goal up. I've gone 2-1 Newcastle on this. Newcastle, again, they had not conceded many goals, and I don't think they'll concede many again at this weekend. They had a good result midweek against Benfica, and I think they might just be a little bit on a high. And I think they've got a great little striker. Well, he's not very little, is he? He's quite tall. They've got a great striker up top as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he's quite good with his feet, isn't he, for a massively big lad? You know, I mean, he's huge. I mean, right, Fergus, so David's gone Newcastle. I've gone for a draw. I think Fulham are going to get something out of it. Where do you go, mate?
I think, again, David, you're very right. The 5 clean sheets they've kept, same as Arsenal, Newcastle. And I do think, that defensively they're quite strong. They've got some great players. But I do think Europe will have a factor on them because their squad isn't as deep as... It's a bit like we were last year and the season before. The depth in the squad, I don't think they've actually got it. I think... I didn't rate Fulham last week, but I just think there could be a little bit of an upset just because of the European factor that I think that Fulham might nick it just 1-0.
Fulham, wow. That would go down well, that would really go down well. So
you're looking at 14th playing 15th, so they're not flying either side.
No. Well, we've covered all angles. Dave's gone for Newcastle, you've gone for Fulham, and I've gone for a draw. So we're right.
Get your racket out. Get your racket
out. Right, we'll talk about this next game, right? And then I just want to drift off to talk about a little subject before we carry on with the others. So we've got Man United at home to Brighton, right? Man United beat Liverpool last week, as we all know, a result that gave me immense pleasure. Immense pleasure. I loved seeing Liverpool lose last week. I really did. And then we've got Brighton, who beat Newcastle, so they're on form as well. Ferg, I've got a result in my head, but I'm not going to say mine till last now. Man United at home to Brighton, both teams coming off a win. Fergus, who wins this game?
Oh, it's a really hard one. Really is a hard one. I thought Man United's keeper looked really good against Liverpool. I thought he weathered a huge storm against them. You can see some green shoots of improvement at United when they were playing Liverpool, but Brighton they're a really good side. I can't separate them if I'm honest. I've gone 2-2.
So Ferg's gone for a draw. David, can you see a team winning this?
Nope, I've gone for exactly the same scoreline as Fergus. I've gone for 2-2 as well. United for me are just too inconsistent. I actually disagree with Fergus about United's performance against Liverpool. I think Liverpool could have easily put 6 past them. Unfortunately, they just couldn't hit a barn door. And United just happened to have a little bit of luck, which is what you need in football every now and again. And they profited from it. I think Brighton are a good side. They always go to United and play a good game. And I can't see a winner. So I've gone 2-2.
Yeah, well, I disagree with both of you boys. The sentiments, I agree with everything you've said, really. But I think that Man United, it was a one-off last week, and I think Brighton might nick a win there this weekend. I really do. Brighton are a good side. I've gone Brighton to win 2-1. And, none of us have gone for Man United to win the game, and they're at home. That's really, it's not often you say that, it's not often that happens. So the next game we're going to talk about, boys, is Brentford v Liverpool, right? But just before we do, I want to get you boys' opinion on something, and the people in the comments would be great if you wanted to join in, right? I put a post out on social media yesterday, I think. Is 6 English teams in the Champions League too many, right? And it got quite a lot of feedback on it. And do you know what? Not one person said they liked to see 6 English teams in the Super League. Some said 2, some said it should be just champions, some said 3, some said 4, but that everybody seemed to think it was too many. And the reason I asked that question, right, I'll come to you first, Ferg. The reason I asked that question was because when I was looking at all the scores the other night, I found it a bit monotonous seeing all them English teams in the so-called Champions League. And I just think it's too many. More, possibly 4, yeah, but 6, that's nearly a third of the Premier League, as someone reminded me today, Ferg.
Yeah, I get that. I don't think it should be called the Champions League anymore. I think they might as well call it the European League, because that's what it is. Because it's not champions. If we've ended up coming 4th or 5th, and our teams come 4th or 5th to get into it. If 6 teams get in because a team qualifies, like say Arsenal qualify automatically, and we're already in, and we win the league as well. So we're going to do the double this year. I said it at the beginning of this season.
Treble.
Treble. Well, yeah, we can do the other cups. We'll do all 4. It's on it. But if we do if we do win it, a team that's already qualified wins it, and another team qualifies via the Europa League, they've justifiably got it. I think I find it very unjust on Palace the way that happened with the thing where they got knocked down to the other league. If they call it a European League, why not? This is the best league in Europe. The Premier League is the best league in Europe. If you compare it to the French league, if you compare it to all the other leagues that are in there, like, sorry, no disrespect, but the Scandinavian teams and the ones in, I don't know, Prague and and Czech Republic and so on, they're nowhere near, and they're getting 2 or 3 spots. And you just think there should be more for a better league and make it a more competitive league.
Yeah, I get that point, actually.
We're going to be playing, sorry to speak over to you, we're going to be playing somebody on the last game that's flying 8 hours to us, which I disagree with anyway, but they're a pub team.
I'm just gutted we're not playing there. I have my route planned and everything. I have my route planned and all sorts. But yeah, I know we've only got 6 teams because was it the best disciplinary record or something? And then obviously that mob down the road won the Europa League, so that puts another couple of teams in. But 6 just seems so many, Dave.
Yeah, I actually agree. You might call me old school, but I feel like the Champions League's lost its value a little bit. Well, actually, I don't think a little bit, quite a lot. We go back to, I'm going to go off the record a little bit here, but if we go back to European football 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, when we had the UEFA Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup, the quality in all 3 competitions was absolutely top draw. You'd always guarantee to have a final at the end of every single one of those competitions with top teams in it. You'd have, I think that back in the 90s, you'd have Ronaldo playing for Inter Milan in a UEFA Cup final in 1998. It was absolutely sensational, and that's what we lived for, right? But like you say, we've now got teams that are in the Champions League that are predominantly pub teams. If anything, they've got a postman in goal and a butcher at left back. Yeah. For that reason, I do feel like it's lost its value a little bit. So my thoughts are very similar to yours.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dave. The one thing I don't like doing is I've not got an answer. I don't normally raise issues when I've not got an answer, because it will not change. If anything, it will get worse because it's making money. It's making money, and that's all they want to do. But anyway, we spoke, and you talking about good teams. Look at when we beat Parma 1-0 in the final when Alan Smith scored. Do you remember the players in that Parma side? Oh my God.
Sensational.
They were. We should have had no chance of winning that game. And I've never forgiven Smudger for scoring so early in the game in the 20th minute and making me sit on me.
Well, sorry to intrude. We talk about Parma and we talk about money in football. If we go back to the 90s, where was the money in football? It was in Italy, right?
Yeah, it was.
And if you look at that Parma side and if you look at who they are now, they're a shadow of the team of they once used to be. We're not just talking about Parma. We're talking about giants like Lazio. People don't even talk about Lazio anymore as a football club, and the amount of quality that used to play in that league.
But that was because of moving it off Channel 4 onto Sky platform and the money that Sky pumped in, and creating the Premier League. Do you not think?
Potentially, but we all miss James Richardson, right? What a great host he was on Channel 4.
Wasn't he good, eh? Wasn't he good? But the Italian and the Spanish leagues were bigger than the English leagues for donkey's years before we formed the Premier League. And we've benefited because it's brought some really fantastic players to this country for us to watch. But yeah, I don't know. 6 just seems too many. I just forget, if they stop calling it Champions League and call it the Super League, right, and make it a Champions of the Super League, then we'll all kick off and get angry. But at least it wouldn't be the blatant lie it is now, because it's not the Champions League. It really isn't. Right, look, we've got to move on because Fergus will be nagging me senseless in a minute, right? The next one, Brentford v Liverpool. Brentford, well, as Fergus rightly said a little just now, Brentford should have scored 10 against West Ham the other night, and Liverpool lost at home to Man United. And I do sort of agree with Dave, although I hate to say it, Liverpool had many chances to score in the game, hit the woodwork 2 or 3 times, and they just couldn't find their scoring boots. What a shame. But, so Liverpool coming off a loss, Brentford coming off a win. Brentford are a good side. I fancy Brentford to get something out of this. We'll come to you, Dave.
Again, I feel differently. I think Liverpool will win this game 2-1 or somewhere in and around there. I think they'll concede, Liverpool. They always look like conceding every single game. They don't look as strong as they once used to. But they've just got so much quality in attack. And I just think they'll just have a little bit too much for Brentford. And look, we want Liverpool to lose, right? Let's get that right. We want to go as far out in front as possible as we can. But I just don't see it. I think Liverpool will get back to winning ways. Yeah.
Okay. So I think Brentford are going to win. Dave thinks Liverpool are going to win. Ferg, where are you going?
A little bit more heart than head, but I do think Brentford are a better side than we thought they were going to be. A bit like Bournemouth. They let a lot of players go in the summer, but they're actually half decent. It's not an easy stadium to go to, and I think Liverpool's heads are in a bit of a shed at the minute. Yes, they got a result against Eintracht Frankfurt in the Champions League. They scored goals from set pieces, which is like totally against their religion. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. But yeah, they scored a few goals against a team that's had 55 goals in its first 10 games in all competitions, scored or conceded. So they concede easily to Frankfurt. I just think that there's something going on. There's something not right. They've got injuries as well. They've picked up in midweek, and I've gone 2-1 to Brentford. Come on, Brentford.
Yeah, I've gone 2-0 to Brentford. Which, you know what, we should really talk about Liverpool, right? Because Liverpool fans can be nauseating on social media, and they've all disappeared this week on 99% of them, which is lovely to have. But I think they've stopped having to go at Arsenal fans. They seem to be slightly getting on Slots back already. I've seen 1 or 2 little nibbles, and I'm thinking, is that right? Should they be nibbling at their manager already, David?
I just think that's human nature. I think when it comes to social media, you're always going to find idiots anywhere you go, even amongst us.
Tell me about it.
Look, gents, even amongst, when I say us, I don't mean us three. I mean Arsenal fans. There's always going to be people who are like that across any form of social media, And some of it's clickbait. Some people just want an argument, whatever that may be. I generally think there will be genuine Liverpool fans who will feel similar to Slot in the way that we feel. When I say we, I'm talking of us three towards Arteta.
Yeah. I hope that the Klopp bubble has burst and they struggle. I can honestly see Man City being our closest threat this season. I really can. I honestly can. But anyway, we'll move on from that one because I'm conscious we want to get moving on. Bournemouth v Forest, right? Bournemouth at home to Forest. Bournemouth drew last week with Palace. Forest lost at Chelsea. Bournemouth at home seem to be pretty strong. Ferg, who's going to win this? Or are we going to sit on the fence again?
Let me have a look. So what have I said on this one? I think I'm going to get some splinters. I think the European, where I've used European factors as a something that will affect a lot of teams previously, I think it can affect Forest in a very positive way. They've got their first win of the season away in Europe, away to Porto as well, which is not well, we didn't do it, and we went there, so they're not we weren't helped by the referee either, but Bournemouth are a decent side. Bournemouth are flying high, but I think Forest, Dyche, I think he's a local lad. He's from he's from Nottingham or somewhere like that, and he does go and watch Forest week in, week out, and he seemed to have a good connection with the fans, good connection with the players, and I think he'll get something out of this. And if he can go to the Vitality and come home with a point, I think he'll be very, very happy. And on that basis, I've gone for Bournemouth 2, Forest 2.
A draw. Forest to get something at Bournemouth. See, I've got Bournemouth to beat Forest 2-0, and I thought I was being quite conservative with that forecast. But Fergus sees it completely differently. Dave, where do you see it, mate?
I'm in the same boat as you, Trev. However, I've gone for a 3-0 Bournemouth on this one. I'm so surprised how good Bournemouth still are. If I look at the start of the season, their team was dismantled. Literally, the whole of the back four out. Kepa, gone. Kirkes, gone. Zabani, gone to PSG. I mean, what did that leave them with? Their other centre-half, the Argentinian fella, who's still there. And I can't quite think of who their right back currently is, but I mean, someone just put it up.
But you have to, David, you've got to look back at Forest. Forest before they had the upheaval of getting rid of Nuno and then having the fat Aussie geezer in. They were a decent side, a really decent side. Elanga, Morgan Rogers. They've some really good players.
Morgan Rogers plays for Villa, mate. Dan's going to do you. Right. What have you done?
No, I know. Yeah, but you're going to do me as well. And you know what? As the words come out,
you want about Gibbs White?
Right.
Yeah. As the words come out, and you was right. Yeah.
Boys, one of you at a time, please. Now then, don't make me step in.
Sorry.
Anyway, where were we? David, you were interrupted by Fergus, I think, mate. So you think?
No, I get Fergus's point. I generally do. I wouldn't say they necessarily have a great squad of players. However, there are times where managers will just find a really good balance amongst the team, right? And I think that's what Nuno did. I think they punched above their weight for the season. And this season is now starting to show a little bit, even when Nuno was in charge at the beginning, albeit there was a few problems with the chairman. And now we're starting to see it with Forest. I do think that Dyche will sort things out and he will help them eventually, but it's a little bit too early on for me, which is why I think Bournemouth will win this one comfortably.
I'll tell you what, boys, if that chairman at Forest and Dyche fall out, that's going to be a hell of a ding dong, that is, isn't it? Eh? That's going to be a right one-on-one. That is. Oh my word, dread to think. Right, so Ferg's gone for a draw. David and myself have gone for Bournemouth. Moving on again, Villa v Man City. Both coming off wins. Villa beat Tottenham, which isn't difficult to do, I know. Man City beat Everton. Villa at home. Yeah, City had a win in Europe this week. How did Villa get on it? Yeah, Villa won in Europe and all, didn't they?
Villa got beat, didn't they?
Oh, it got of course they
They
did.
got
Yeah,
beat,
yeah.
you got beat by what it was something Eagles or
Yeah,
something.
oh,
Go
yeah,
ahead,
go ahead,
Eagles.
Eagles. Yeah, what
Go
made
ahead,
me
Eagles.
forget that? Well, blimey. Go on. Anyway, Villa v City, right? I'm going to let me heart rule my head because I really want Villa to get something out of this game, right? So I'm going for a draw. I'm hoping, not thinking, I'm hoping it's going to be 1-1. City drops some points at Villa. Does it happen?
No. Villa have been hot and cold all season. They have had I think they're a few good results where they've had 3 wins all season. 3 wins all season. I can't see it. Haaland started scoring again. He was off the pace last season quite a lot. They don't seem to be missing Rodri a huge amount. City do worry me a little bit as major challengers to us for the title because they just build and they will score lots of goals. And it could come down to goal difference being the difference between who wins the league and who doesn't. I've gone for what have I gone for? I've gone for Villa 1, City 3.
Villa 1, City 3. So we've gone either side of the fence, Dave, me and Ferg. I think I've gone for the draw. Ferg's gone for City. Can you see Villa getting anything out of it, Dave?
I can. And
Ooh,
I've also gone for a draw as well. I've gone for a 2-2 draw. I feel very different about City this season in comparison to you, Ferg. I'm still more worried about Liverpool than what I am about City. Now, people might have a different opinion, and I think Haaland is an absolutely fantastic goal scorer. If he doesn't score, who scores for City? That's the difference between us, City, and Liverpool, right? Us and Liverpool have got goal scorers amongst the team.
Yeah.
I generally do not know where they're getting goals from. This Manchester City side is a shadow of the team that won the Champions League when they did and when they won the treble. If you look amongst their team now, I think they've probably maybe got 3 or 4 starters left of that side. There's just not an abundance of look. They're a good side, right? But they just don't have the same quality that they once used to in players like Kevin De Bruyne. Foden, I don't know what's happened to Foden. He's completely fallen off a cliff. You've got Doku one side who is inconsistent. Savinho the other side who's inconsistent. Rodri, who looks like his career's now come to an end after that horrible injury he picked up last season at home against us. And they've got Núñez at right back. I mean, albeit they've got an absolutely fantastic goalkeeper in Donnarumma. But I believe they'll be very inconsistent this year, City. If Haaland doesn't score, I just don't see where they get their goals from.
Yeah, Ferg's gone. Ferg's gone. He's
I
left.
bored him. He didn't like what I had to say.
No, he'll be off to use the gentleman's room, David. But you have got a point, mate. I've not thought of it like that before. And if he does have a bit of an off period, Haaland, who scores? Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. Going to move on while Ferg's gone. Wolves v Burnley. Neither of these two teams excite me much at all. Wolves lost to Sunderland last week. Burnley are not doing a lot. I don't know why, right? I really don't know why. But I fancy Burnley to get something out of this. And I just think that they're better than Wolves, Dave.
Yeah. Do you know what?
Sorry, lads. The wife's doing her hair and the front doorbell went, so I had to go and get it. Sorry.
So unprofessional.
Yeah, I was unsure about this one, Trev. I was very much going to look for a Burnley result here as well, as in a Burnley win. But in the end, I've gone for a draw. I've gone for a 1-1 draw. And it generally wouldn't surprise me if Burnley come away and get a result from it. Wolves are a very, very poor side. I don't even... correct me if I'm wrong, but they've not even won a game this season, right?
They haven't.
No. However, if they were to win a game, these are the games that they've got to be winning. I just still don't see it. But yeah, I've gone for 1-1.
1-1, yeah. Folk, I don't know how much you heard of that. Dave's gone for a 1-1 draw.
Heard some of it.
Wolves. Can't get excited about it, me. I think Burnley might nick a win away at Wolves. But I don't know why, Ferg. I don't know why. What one? Which way are you going?
I think I'm going Burnley. I think Burnley. I said Burnley Leeds that it would be a draw last week, and Burnley convincingly beat Leeds 2-0. And they're really consistent in keeping clean sheets and defending. They're I think the lowest goals conceded in the Championship last season. I know they've conceded some goals in the better league. Wolves, as you said, David, haven't won a game yet this season. They've had 2 draws. They've got 2 points. I think they're gone already. It's not even Christmas, and I think they're gone. I've gone 2-0. 2-0 Burnley.
2-0 to Burnley. So we don't give Wolves anything out of this game, and they are playing at home. Just goes to show. Just out of curiosity, boys, if Wolves played West Ham tomorrow, who would win?
Hang on. Tell him to do one. Wife's doing her hair. Great excuse for emptying the bag. Well done, Ferg. Listen, if you can't be creative. Go on.
So if Wolves played West Ham tomorrow, who would win?
Didn't they play each other?
I don't know. Have they?
I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah,
maybe someone needs to answer that in the chat, right? Whether they've played each other, because it's not a fixture you go out and look for, is it? It's probably not one that you remember either.
We're gonna do one more game. Right? We're gonna do one more game. We're gonna do Everton v Tottenham, and then before we move on to the highlight of the weekend, obviously the mighty Arsenal against Crystal Palace. I want to just drift for 2 minutes onto something else. But let's do Everton v Tottenham, right? Everton v Tottenham. We've got Bad Ronnie in the chat, haven't we? So wait for him to pop up. Bad Ronnie. Everton lost to Man City last week. Tottenham lost at home to Villa and looked really poor. I mean, I've got my advice to Bad Ronnie and all the other Tottenham fans would be to enjoy your magnificent new stadium. Love being in there. Enjoy that great new stadium, because I think you ain't going to get much football played in it to enjoy. So you might as well just enjoy the stadium, eh? So anyway, Everton v Tottenham, right? I think Everton are going to beat Tottenham, aren't they, Dave? Tottenham can't get anything at Everton, can they?
I really like Everton this season. I think they look a really good side under Moyes. I watched them last week. I watched highlights last week of them against Man City, and they gave them a really good game, especially in the first half. I think they could have had 2 or 3 in that game, but again, down to Haaland's absolutely magnificent performance. They come away with a result. Spurs, I don't think Spurs have really improved that much under Thomas Frank. They look better defensively, yes, but again, I don't think they look great either. I've gone for a 2-1 on this for Everton.
2-1 to Everton. That's David and myself gone for Everton. Are you joining us on that journey?
Oh, I contemplate it. It's really hard. You know what? I think that new Hill Dickinson Stadium, as I said before, makes such a noise, and I do think that does make a difference. I think Everton under Moyes are better. It seems to be his happy place. And as you said, Spurs haven't been great. Forget about like rivalry and banter and stuff like that. Spurs haven't been great. Defensively, they're poor. They can't really score very much. They got Richarlison and they got Solanke, and they can't really get a goal for Toffee. On that subject, I think Toffees will get 3 goals. So I'm going 3-0.
3-0. Wow. So we've all gone for a convincing Everton win over Tottenham. And to be honest, that doesn't really surprise me, to be honest. Look, boy, we've got
I prefer Red Skull's prediction. 5-1. That'd be amazing.
I'll do. Yeah, we'll take that all day long.
Someone's just put a comment up about Grealish scoring. He's been absolutely sensational for Everton. Yeah. What a signing. He looks like he's just enjoying his football again.
And you know what? You talked about the Man City game. We talked he couldn't play in the Man City game because he was on loan. And I think that was the difference why they didn't actually win Man City. On the West Ham, Wolves versus West Ham, Wolves beat West Ham in the League Cup 3-2.
Right. Okay. But that is really interesting, Grealish. I've got it written down here and I've forgotten it. I hadn't brought it up. So thank you for that, gentlemen. But I think Grealish was the difference between Everton and Man City as well. I really do. Grealish, David, I agree with you. Grealish has been off the scale. Superb watching him. But we got one game left. We've got the mighty Arsenal v Crystal Palace.
Before we do that, Trev, I think we should hang on, Trev. We should mention Andy's Man Club. We do it every episode. Andy's Man Club. If you're going through a tough time, Andy's Man Club. The contact details are on there. Don't suffer alone. Don't be on your own. We saw Tommy Skinner. You retweeted his tweet about a friend that he lost, sadly, to suicide. And he just said, a phone call, a chat, reaching out to somebody. So if you are struggling, just it's good to talk. Just, it's okay to talk.
I hadn't forgotten this subject, by the way. I was going to follow this next bit with it, Phil, but it doesn't matter when we say it, when we talk about it. We say it on every show. If you're feeling down, talk to any of us here at Guns and Ribbons. Talk to anyone you think you might be able to talk to. And if you feel the need, go to an Andy's Man Club meeting. They do a great job. And I finish it off every week with the same thing. Talking when you're down and when you're in a bad place, talking is the last thing you want to do. It's the hardest thing to do, but results show that it is the best thing to do. Tell someone, get some help, or just lighten the load. David, have you got anything you want to add to that, mate?
I think you've hit the nail on the head. I know it's very different for everyone in terms of the way that they feel. Some find it a lot more difficult to open up than others. But I think what you guys are doing here week in, week out, just reminding us as men, and not just men, but women as well, if you ever do get email watchers on here, talk to somebody. We all care. We all want to know. We all want to help.
Yeah.
We're all part of a same WhatsApp group, and that how many times has somebody in that WhatsApp group had a bad day and we reached out and talked to each other. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a WhatsApp group, but just if you've got a mate who you know and you got 5 minutes, can I ask you something? Can I say something? Just reach out. Or if you don't want to do that and you want to talk to a stranger, that's where Andy's Man Club comes in and really helps.
They have hundreds and hundreds of groups all over the country. Andy's
over 300 now. Yeah.
They're for everybody. We don't say this because we're Arsenal fans. We say this because we're people, human beings. But yeah, it's good to talk. Right. So listen, boys. You both mentioned it tonight. Right? I'm not going to do Arsenal v Palace for about 2 minutes. I don't like doing predictions this early in the season. As a matter of fact, I won't do predictions. But I'm looking at the Premier League this season, right? And you boys have both been talking about Wolves and West Ham and whoever else. But I looked the other day and we're 6 games in now? And all the 3 teams that come up last season, unusually, none of them are in the relegation spots, right? Mm-hmm. So it's wide open this year. And boys, I'm not going to predict, but we're looking at how it's going. If this pattern continues, I worry greatly for West Ham and Wolves. I think their fate is sealed if they don't pull their socks up. David, anything to add to that? I find it really intriguing at the bottom of the league at the moment.
Yeah, so I think the difference between these sides here is investment. If we look at the money Sunderland and Leeds have spent, I'm not too sure about Burnley. Maybe someone can share in terms of what Burnley have actually spent over the summer. But if we look at what Sunderland and Leeds have spent, they've spent enormous amounts of money, invested heavily.
116 in Sunderland, I believe.
Exactly right. The proof's in the pudding. West Ham, what have they spent? Absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. I think their most expensive player over the summer was Fernandes from Southampton, and he was about 40 million or somewhere along those lines. And so you're going in the most expensive player that you buy is already from a club that's been relegated. So it's always going to be difficult for them. It wouldn't have even surprised me at the beginning of the year when the board, West Ham, looked at their squad and known that they hadn't got much money to spend, that it was going to be a difficult ask this season.
And what's criminal about it, and Trevor took the mick out of me when I was sharing some information with us, it interested me because my boss is a Birmingham City fan, and the owners of West Ham now were the previous owners at Birmingham City. And where you look at this setup that is at West Ham, as an example, like Wolves and some of the other teams, you can type to say, right, they're smaller clubs, but West Ham have got a 66,000 seater stadium. It's costing them $2 million a year to rent. They don't pay for policing, they don't pay for corner flags, they don't pay for goal nets, and they get 50% of all the profit of all the concessions in there. So they're raking in a load of money. Upton Park was sold for, I think it was 38 million to a developer. None of that money went back into the club, and there's 600 and something flats that have gone into Upton Park. It's absolutely, in my opinion, I feel it very wrong. I won't use the word criminal, but very wrong that the way that club is not moving up the leagues, like what Sunderland have invested, like what Brighton have done, like what Brentford have done as smaller clubs that have pushed up, and they should be challenging for those European positions. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Wolves, I don't know what's going on, but yeah.
It's what's happening at West Ham is terrible. I say it every week. I bore myself to say it that often. But if I was a West Ham fan and I was having to go and watch that quality of football in that cesspit of a stadium they've got to play their games in, and watch that standard of football, I'd think twice about paying the prices they have to pay. It is horrible. It really is horrible. But look, boys, 9 minutes to go, right? 9 minutes to go before we've got the hour up. Arsenal v Crystal Palace, right? On Sunday, all three of us will be there. Arsenal coming off a nice win at Fulham and a great win against Atletico. Palace drew last week with Bournemouth, which weren't a bad result, but they got beaten at home by an bang average European side this week. Bang average. Up until 2 or 3 weeks ago, I'd have probably said I'm worried about Palace. Tonight, sitting here doing this show, I'm not worried about Palace, Ferg.
I'm the exact same. I worried that we're going to meet them in a few weeks, and they had been unbeaten in the league, and they were flying on a high. They won the FA Cup. They got into Europe. They're doing okay in Europe. And they won the Community Shield against City. I just thought everything was buzzing. They've got a really, really good manager. They've got some good players. Yes, we've got Eze from them. But I did worry. But I just look at how we've been. We haven't faced a shot on target in 2 games. Our defense is so solid. In the league, yeah, and Gabriel as well. I don't think we faced many on target. I know we didn't get one on target in the first half against Atletico. I don't know what the stats were for the second half, but I know Gabriel is a doubt for the weekend, but we got Mascara, or we got Hincapié, who can step in. Don't start laughing at me, David. I'll just leave it out.
That's why he went downstairs, David. He's going to get his Mrs. Mascara for her. I can't see if Hincapié gets in the side before Mascara. I'm worried. I'm worried. So sorry, Ferg, carry on.
Yeah, I just think with the replacements that we've got in the defence, I'm not too worried. I think we will still keep a clean sheet. Palace a decent side, yeah, for sure. But I think between a set piece or open play or whatever, we get at least 2-0 Arsenal.
2-0. Dave, I've gone for 3-0 Arsenal. I'm that confident. How do you see it, mate?
Forgive me, mate. I'm just trying to compose myself after that comment.
Sorry, your mascara's running.
I mean, yeah, you've made my evening there. Thank you, mate. I really enjoyed that. I see a lot of score lines popping up at the bottom, a lot of 2-0s. I feel exactly the same. Defensively, we're just sound, gentlemen. We are so good defensively. Just knowing how good we are from a defensive perspective, we're always going to score goals at home, right? Whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it may be. I just got peace of mind knowing that we're just going to be solid at the back. And including the Champions League fixture midweek, one shot on target we've conceded in the last 3 games. It's an absolute testament to the animal that Mikel Arteta has built with this football squad. The way they all work for each other. I mean, I'm even watching Gyökeres. He's an absolute dog. He's not easy on the eye to watch, right? But he does his job when he defends. He gets behind the ball as well. It's incredible. What he's built there and what he's asked for the players is it's brilliant to watch. I'm enjoying it. I don't care how we score goals, like Trev said earlier, but 2-0 to the Arsenal.
Yeah, absolutely agree with all of that. We just are looking. I'm trying not to get too confident. I'm trying. I know it's a long season. I know it's very early days. I'm seeing journalists on the TV saying now it's Arsenal's to lose. Get out of here. It's a long season. But I do feel that we are in a great place. And you mentioned him, David. I've got him written down here to take us to the next step and finish us off. Lots of talk about Victor, right? Lots of talk about Victor. But I am absolutely over the moon. Cock-a-hoop with the way he's been playing. Like you said, it's not easy on the eye, but I like that in the centre forward. He puts himself about. He bustles players. And I know we want to see him scoring every week, right? But if he's not scoring every week, the goals that Saka or Martinelli or Trossard are scoring are very much helped by Victor's input to them. You know what I mean? The way he's moving players around, they're chucking him around. I mean, he should have had a penalty the other night. He was wrestled to the ground by a defender. But yeah, I think we've signed a good one in Victor. I'm not worried in the slightest. Ferg, what do you think?
Yeah, look, it's the difference about watching it live than watching it on TV. You can see how much work he does off the ball and how much he's holding up the ball, how much he's taking away other players to give room. Like Saka's not having 2 or 3 people on him all the time now because the defenses can't afford to do that, because if you give Gyökeres too much space, then he's going to exploit he's fast and he's going to exploit them. If not, Saka will. And Martinelli as well. I don't know if he's been re-chipped or whatever, or it's because he's getting more space or what's happened to the man. But he's the Martinelli we saw 2-3 years ago when it was Saka, Smith Rowe, and Martinelli coming through. It was the Hale end. And he just looks like he's going to fulfill the promise that we all felt we were getting 3 years ago. He looks great. His finishing needs to improve. Yes, Dan has said that to me before, but his work rate and his effort and his attitude and the way he's looking up, not looking down. He doesn't care. He's coming on as a substitute or starting the game. He's well up for it, as is Trossard, etc. But no, Gyökeres, I'm happy with. Look, I think he'll get us 15 goals this season. He's already on, 5? He'll probably get us 20 in all competitions, I think. But, next season, then once he gets bedded into the Premier League, I think we'll probably get 30 out of him in all competitions.
David, how do you see Victor? Are you thinking the same as Ferg and myself obviously are? You're on mute, mate.
Sorry, buddy. It's because I put it on from the comment you made earlier, so I keep having to remind myself. To be fair, I can't even hear any background noise. The kids are quiet. It's beautiful. I mean, you can hear a pin coming through.
It's us coming through on your speakers.
Right, got you. Okay, mate. Yeah, I really like Victor Gyökeres. I think he's a very old, traditional centre forward in the way that he plays. Someone put a comment up earlier about him scoring scruffy goals. Were they the type of goals that we're gonna, we scored last season or the season before? Absolutely not. I think he does a tremendous job for the team. He's a very, very different player to what we have in Havertz, who's yet to come back from injury. And when I do think he comes back from injury, I think Havertz will find it difficult to get back into the starting 11. People will question differently, but what Victor does is he stretches defenses. He runs into channels. Havertz doesn't run into channels. Havertz doesn't stretch defenses. Havertz will come deep and will want to clip the ball because he's not naturally a centre forward. It's not his instinct to do that. And I think what defenders find themselves doing is actually preoccupying themselves on Gyökeres so much, it's now giving the guys out wide a little bit more freedom, which is why you're seeing more from Martinelli and Saka.
Yeah. And
sorry, Trevor, I was going to pick up on Dan's comment, because I think we touched on this, was it Monday, where people are saying, it was the Harry Symeou comment, where Dan's saying that his finishing isn't the problem. That's not what I said. It's his overall level on his first touch. He'll be a good player, but not a great player. And we said about that maybe his first touch has impacted about him worrying about the physicality of the game in the Premier League rather than just looking for the run.
I think Harry made a really good point. I'm going to sit on the fence about whether he's going to be a good player or a great player. It's too soon to say. But what Harry said, I thought Harry hit the nail on the head, and I commented on it actually, in that it does look to me like at the moment Victor might be looking for the physical contact when the ball's coming through, rather than actually looking for the ball. You know, maybe he's trying to impress us with his physicality. Maybe Arteta's told him that's the way he should play. To be honest, I don't mind while we're winning games. Let him learn his trade. Let him get on with it. He's learning. He is learning in the Premiership still. It's the biggest stage in the world, but he'll be all right, as we've all said. But the last thing, we've just gone over the hour, so I want to close it down quickly with this, because you boys led on to it nicely, and I've got it down here. And I mentioned it when I did the introduction about Victor making out space for our wide players. I mean, Saka's back in form. Saka this season is back to his very best. Martinelli is back to his very best after a hard season last season. And Trossard is finding more space, making lots of goal contributions and scoring goals. Boys, that's got to be down to Victor to a certain extent, hasn't it, Dave?
I think it plays a part in that, for sure, absolutely. But you've also seen different aspects of Mikel Arteta's tactics change this season as well. We're now seeing positions that Calafiori's taken up that we wouldn't naturally see him take up in the team. We're now seeing Zubimendi and Declan also play in a pivot as well in the centre of midfield. So I think there's a number of factors that you've got to take into consideration, but certainly the fact that Victor always wants to get in behind and run into channels has made a huge difference, and he's now being preoccupied by the centre halves. Yeah.
Just before we come to you on the same thing, Ferg. Yeah, Ronnie, I didn't mention Daumann. Dauman's a young kid at the moment. I just wanted to talk about the three that play regularly in the wide positions. Daumann's day will undoubtedly come. But on the same point to you, Ferg, we've got three wide players that are playing top of their game at the moment. Has Victor helped that a little, a lot, so much?
Yeah, like what David said, by him taking defenders away and midfielders away and keeping them occupied, it creates more space for other players. So, you know, and we've worked on a lot of things. I'd just like to see a bit more. I'd like to see a bit more goals from open play because of that, and maybe that there was a way that maybe, I don't know, Saka can drag people away and give Victor a bit of space, or we learn how to do. But I do see us changing and slightly how we play, and I can see Victor learning how we play as well. So I think it will come good, and we'll see those balls going over the top sometimes, and Victor getting on the end of them.
Right, yeah. The only thing, goals in open play, I can't agree with you and Dan. I don't care how we score. If we score the majority of our goals from set pieces, so be it. You're not going to think about that when the season's over and we're possibly lifting that trophy. Right, Ferg, listen, are you about ready to press that button, mate? Are you?
I am. I'm just going to find it.
I'll tell you why. Just one thing before you do. Been lots of talk about Declan Rice this week, but I've just got to put it out there to people. When you talk about Declan Rice now, I think Declan Rice is at a level where you say one of the best on the planet, not in Europe, one of the best in the world. Watching how he's playing the game and how he's improved, it's an absolute pleasure. He's one of the players in this day and age, even when we pay a lot of money, I would pay my entrance money to watch Declan Rice's free kicks and balls into the box. And if you're wondering why we're scoring from set plays, have a look at Declan Rice, because he's right up there, the reasoning for it. Wonderful. Wow. Ferg, I'm going to hand it over to you to close the show now. Thank you for watching, everybody. Much appreciate it. If you can go over to YouTube and press the subscribe button, please do so. It does help us. Yeah, and we've got the QR code at the top of the screen. Just click on that and that will take you to our YouTube channel. Ferg's getting really good with the technology. I'm proud of him. And Leeds has just took the lead against West Ham after 3 minutes. So could be a long night for West Ham and Leeds. David, thank you very much. Much appreciate you being here. I will see you on Sunday. I will see you on Sunday, and I'll leave it to Ferg to close us down.
David, I will see you at the usual place on Sunday about 11ish. Creamy pints all round.
Absolutely.
We will have a good one. Thank you, everyone, for watching the show. 221 of you watching live right now on a Friday night. I know there's football on, so we do appreciate you all doing it. If you can go over to that QR code in the top corner, it will allow you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We don't make a fortune out of this. I spoke to Good Ronnie in the week, and he said, Fergus, do you make any money out of this? And I went, Ron, I said, we've made 24 quid in a year. And he went, no, really? I thought you just said that. I said, no, really? We just make 24 quid this year. And YouTube won't pay us until we get 60 quid. And when we get 60 quid, the Guinnesses are on me. But that is it. That we are done. Thank you, everybody, for watching Guns and Yellow Ribbons. We'll be back on Monday night, 7 o'clock, usual place, usual time. Up the Arsenal. Fuck Spurs.
Thanks for listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons or Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too. Up the Arsenal.